Greetings, my name is Henry Willoughby. This is a video on the pros and cons of raw milk. Firstly, a bit about myself. I'm an avid scholar and philosopher and author of social justice books. I've completed a double degree at the University of Adelaide in law and anthropology and recently completed an honours degree in anthropology. So, let's talk about raw milk and its pros and cons. There has been an ideological and political war being waged between raw milk enthusiasts and sellers on the one hand, and public health authorities on the other. Those wishing to sell raw milk maintain their legitimate liberty for sellers and buyers of raw milk to exercise their informed choices in the market. They emphasise that rationality is on their side, that raw milk with certain quality controls has better health benefits and is safe to consume. Public health authorities have a duty of care to implement legislation or interpret it in such a way so as to mitigate risks regarding the processing of foods. They, public health authorities, tend to be scared of being sued in the event of food poisoning from foods, and their methods of processing and manufacture they condone as public health authorities. Now, a company called Move View Dairy attempted to circumvent the legislation prohibiting the sale of raw milk in South Australia, for drinking purposes, that is. The laws stipulated that if you personally own a cow, you are permitted to drink the milk from that cow, the raw milk, and use it for personal consumption in this way. However, it is prohibited by legislation to sell raw milk to other consumers for drinking purposes. Move View Dairy implemented a cow share scheme such that people wanting to buy raw milk for drinking purposes could do so through purchasing a share in a cow, aka contracting to buy a purported shared ownership of a cow with two or more consumers. Raw milk is fresher and contains enzymes which give positive and beneficial digestion properties. Raw milk is designed by nature to be consumed immediately, not to have a long shelf life. The calf consumes the milk straight away as it leaves the mother's udder, such is nature's design. Is quality raw milk healthy? Yes. Is it safe? Yes. Arguably, if it is consumed soon after being milked and the cows are healthy and do not have an udder infection. Does it have a long shelf life? No, it doesn't. Now, raw milk is particularly safer if there are quality controls at the farm to promote the health of cows, such as adequate space for movement and feeding cows predominantly grass and not grain, since grass is the evolved food for cows. There have been ongoing legal proceedings as to the legality or illegality of raw milk sales from company Move View Dairy over the past decade or so. I, for one, participated in this cow share scheme, inaugurated by Mark Tyler, the director of Move View Dairy Company, and consumed some of the freshest milk possible. At the time, in addition to consuming liberal amounts of Tyler's raw cow's milk, I was also eating primarily organic and free-range foods, and was the only time in my life that I had visible six-pack abs. I was also eating raw organic eggs. Not once did I get sick, but that doesn't mean it doesn't come without its risks. Other sellers of raw milk advertise it as bath milk with warnings not to drink it, but the reality is that many of its buyers buy it explicitly to drink, and in all probability, these sellers would know that a large proportion of their sales would be attributed to its buyers who buy it for drinking purposes. Now, I allege that both raw milk enthusiasts and public health authorities have their valid points respectively, but that the middle way is the most enlightened path forward. Now, the concept of the middle way is really borrowed from Eastern philosophy. The Buddha, on his journey to enlightenment, found that the middle way was the best path forward. Applying the middle way to milk is a necessity here. I proffer the middle way solution to be pasteurised, non-homogenised milk. The problem with homogenised milk is that the milk undergoes extra processing, meaning it loses nutritional properties as non-homogenised milk is fresher. Pasteurised non-homogenised milk still has a long shelf life and is fresher and better for you than pasteurised homogenised milk. I live in South Australia, was born here, raised here, went to school here and uni here, and still live here. Some great South Australian brands selling high quality pasteurised non-homogenised milk that I've been exposed to are BD Farm, located in Paris Creek, and Fluoro Milk, located in Maipongo. I did my Year 12 Business Studies project on BD Farm, and it is a fantastic company with highly ethical practices and producing high quality nutritional dairy products. BD in the company name BD Farm stands for biodynamic. BD Farm Company implements biodynamic farming principles founded by Rudolf Steiner, who was a genius, a polymath, and a highly inquiring human being. Steiner also founded the philosophy of anthroposophy and was for educational reform, including inculcating spiritual studies for young school children, and only introducing participation in competitive sports later on in schooling life, so as to foster the ethic and value of collaboration and collaborative learning, as opposed to hyper-competition and hyper-individualism. The homogenization process of milk involves blasting the milk at high pressure through tiny holes at high temperature. It really only has aesthetic benefits, and as a society we currently have a fetish for aesthetically pleasing foods, which often mask their relatively poorer nutritional content. For example, we have the proliferation of waxed apples in supermarkets without blemishes. We currently generally sacrifice a high degree of nutrition for the aesthetic appearance of foods. On the altar, we sacrifice a high degree of nutrition on the altar of aesthetic appearance. Well, that about sums it up. There we go. Creamed it for you. Excuse the pun, but at least it's non-homogenized. Cheers and drink up. Be kind to one another. This is Henry Willoughby signing off.